Hello from the East Coast to the West Coast and to listeners around the world. You're listening to Get Smart Business Radio, the radio show for business owners and managers or anyone that wants to learn how to do business better online. On this program, we showcase experts that have been successful with online business and marketing in both the business to consumer and business to business worlds, and they share what has worked and what has not worked so that you can be a success online too. I'm your host, Angeline Marie, and thanks for taking the time to join us. Today, I'm so excited. My guest is Katherine Andes of Andes and Associates. Katherine has worked as a writer and editor in advertising, media, and entertainment for more than 20 years. And in recent years, she's become an online writer and expert in search engine optimization as well as web content development. And she's helped her clients to boost their success online. So today we're going to pick Katherine's brain to see what we can do to optimize our results online. So if you'll help me, welcome Katherine. How are you doing today, Katherine?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Angeline.
Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
So, Katherine, I've been on your newsletter list for several years now, and I think you told me that you send it out a couple times a month now, and every time I get it, it's always filled with great information. I think that newsletter is pretty well known in the copywriting community. How long have you been writing that newsletter now?
It's been since about 2008, so it's been about 6 years. And, I did start out weekly, and then I just got so busy. It was
that's
a little
good
nuts,
thing.
So.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So then I cut it back to 2 weeks. When I had a client say to me, or one of my readers said, "Do you send them out every day?" So maybe I'm sending them out too often. So anyway.
All right. Well, Katherine, can you give the listeners a little bit about your background and how you, because I think you actually didn't start in the online world, did you? Just kind of tell us.
No, not at all. Actually, if you go way back, I used to work in the entertainment industry, and I was a story editor for motion pictures. And I think what that brings to the table for me is that I'm really good at telling story. And, with some life changes and raising my kids, I kind of segged over into doing different kinds of writing. For a while, I was doing some grant writing, and then that morphed into print advertising. And from print advertising, I had a client who asked me to do his website, which I did. And the site was fine, but he wasn't doing well in rankings. And so I realized I had to learn about search engine optimization. And I paid a coach quite a large sum of money to learn about online writing and search engine optimization. And from there, I was able to help his site and my own site, and with those successes, I was able to build on that and build myself a nice little business.
Great. Now, Katherine, what would you say is the biggest difference between marketing offline versus online?
Okay, there's a really, really big difference. With an online business, a business that's strictly online, for example, everything has to take place on the website. Generally, you fill out the order form and you place your order, and it's easy to track how well your website is doing. But if you have a brick and mortar store, which is what most of my clients are, then you're looking more for phone calls and for foot traffic coming into your store. Mm-hmm. And unless you have a phone line that you track, which most of my clients don't want to do, although I've recommended it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little harder to track the results other than, people saying to them, "Hey, we came in, we saw your website." And that does happen a lot with my clients. Mm-hmm. But that's probably the biggest difference is that, you're looking for phone calls and foot traffic with a brick and mortar store.
Right. Now, because you work online, I'm sure a lot of people come to you after they've already got their site up. Now, when you first see a site, what would you say in general over the years, what are the biggest online marketing mistakes that you would say businesses make on those websites, or maybe even if they're doing email promotions or any other kind of online marketing?
I'd have to say it's just wasted opportunities. The sites don't connect with the visitors. They may have poor layouts, poor copy. There are no call to action. Sometimes there's not even a phone number on the homepage. It's amazing. And they just don't capture email addresses with sign-up forms. And, that's a real wasted opportunity. Now, I will take a little bit of an exception to what I just said. Sometimes they did get a really pretty site. They had a nice design and a nice web developer, but still everything else is poor. And they're not. They may look pretty, but they're not connecting with the customer with their content.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to, you mentioned content and text. That was what I was going to bring up next. Can you kind of explain to the listeners just how important is the written text, the content? Because I think a lot of time business owners just sort of say, well, that's kind of that's secondary, and I'll get to it when I get to it, or they have the receptionist write it. It's like they really don't think that written word or the content is that big of a deal. What do you say about this?
It's a huge problem for business owners because, if anything, they should bring the writer on board first. And the writer is either brought on not at all or last. And it's just crazy. It's a real common problem, though, and it's just a big mistake. I have seen some improvement over the last 6 months or so because the word content is starting to permeate society or the business world a little bit more. So people are starting to become aware of it, but it still has a long way to go. And, it's the written word that really communicates whatever the business owner's unique value is to their prospect. And without it, anybody can have a pretty picture. But without the words to explain your story, it's just a huge mistake.
Yeah, it's sort of like walking into a brick and mortar store and the salesperson just stands there and doesn't say anything to you.
That's a great analogy. I love that. Yeah, or if they just pointed to the chair, the mattress, or something like that, you'd say, "Hey, that's crazy." I love that. Can I use that in the web tip, Angeline?
Absolutely.
That is great. I love that. Oh, wow.
So talking about the written word, what about long copy versus short copy? I see these discussions going back and forth online about short copy versus long copy. One's better than the other. What do you think about that? Does it really matter how many words are there?
No, I don't think so. I think you put in enough words to communicate whatever message it is that you need to communicate. You do have to have words if you're going to do search engine optimization, which means embedding keyword phrases into your copy. Lightly done. You have to have words on the page to do it, and so you're going to have. It used to be said you needed about a minimum of 250 words, which is still really small. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not so sure. I've written less than that if the page called for it, but. Mainly, I'd say my pages average between 500 and 700 words. Now, there are long, salesy kinds of things that will go into thousands of words. If you do have longish copy, you just need to break it up and format it so it doesn't look forbidding when someone comes to your page. So as long as you break it up, have short paragraphs, bold copy, and just make it readable, put some images on it, you'll be fine regardless of the length. People need to be able to scan it, that's for sure. Right. And then they'll go back and read it if you've captured their attention.
Right. Okay, well, Katherine, it's already time to take our first break. Listeners, today my guest is Katherine Andes of Andes & Associates. She's an online writer and expert in search engine optimization and web content development, and we're discussing just what you can do to boost your success online, and we'll be back momentarily.
If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month, based on what you can afford to pay. One quick 10-minute call could help you solve your student loan problems. So call right now. Not available in all states. Payments may vary based on income. 855-351-FAST. 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 855-351-3278. For thousands of years, people from the Brazilian rainforest have used the acai berry for its amazing health benefits. Now we've learned it's also an amazing weight loss supplement. If you're looking to lose 10, 20, maybe even 50 pounds or more, then the Ultimate Acai Diet may be your solution. The Ultimate Acai Diet is loaded with pure organic acai extract powder and other great herbs like hoodia and green tea. You'll burn fat, control your appetite, and get an energy surge like you've never felt before. If you want to lose 10, 20, maybe even 50 pounds, order the Ultimate Acai Diet right now. We'll even give you a free bottle when you order 2, plus give you free shipping. Call 800-430-4147, 800-430-4147, 800-430-4147.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Get Smart Business Radio Show. Today, my guest is Katherine Andes of Andes & Associates. She is an online writer and expert in search engine optimization as well as web content development. And she's giving you her tips to how you can boost success online with your business. Katherine, before we go on, can you give your web address so that people could sign up for your newsletter or maybe even contact you for some help?
Oh, sure. Well, the easiest way to find me is just to Google Katherine Andes, and it's Andes like the mountains, and Katherine is with a K. Or you can go to andesandassociates.com. Yes, I do have a newsletter there, so that'd be great to get some signups.
Okay, and Katherine, before we went to our break, you had mentioned about putting keywords in the front, on the front end. When I say front end, I mean the front of the page. And then there's always the back of the page. So could you talk a little bit about what I would call front end versus back end? Back end meaning the HTML, the meta tags. Just how important is the back end of the page also?
Well, yes, the back end is real important as well, and most clients are just clueless about that. I do once in a while have a savvy client, but most of my clients are clueless, and they really don't want to know. But the back end tags are like little labels to help the search engines understand your page. And once a search engine understands your page, it'll know how to rank you, so it helps your rankings to go higher. These tags also provide copy for your search listings. So they're like little billboards. And if you had a billboard, if you were buying a billboard on the side of a highway, you would be very, very careful about which words went up there. You wouldn't just leave it up to your technical web developer to put those words in, but that's what most people end up doing by default. So it's real important to have a writer handle those back-end items.
Yeah, I think that what you just brought up, that point about, I think you might even have written an article long ago about the web the web developer. And not to put web developers down, but honestly, I think they're more concerned with getting the design and getting it up and live rather than the content and the back end and the front end of the content.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what they do is miraculous, and I don't understand what they do, so I'm not taking anything away from them. They just don't do what, a good content developer and writer can do for you.
Right. Now, I'm sure you have had this question many times over the years when business owners come to you. Do you ever get that question where they say, "Can you get me on the first page of Google?" What would you say to somebody?
Well, if they're a local client, I'm reasonable, and by local, they might be across the country from me, but they're based locally. So I'm reasonably confident usually that I can help them get on the first page of Google. Not necessarily number one, but because so many local businesses don't hire anyone who really knows what they're doing, generally I can do it. I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty confident. Now, nationally, that's another banana. If I get someone who's a national client, it depends on what the industry is, how competitive it is. If it's something that's a little bit niche or new, then I might have a chance at it. But it's going to take some work. It's going to take some time, and it really just depends on the competition. I recommend they do it because, it doesn't hurt to do it. But they might have to be very patient and find other ways to drive traffic to their site in the meantime.
What about, you mentioned a local business. So if somebody has a local storefront, what are a couple of the little things that maybe they might do different to get listed locally versus nationally? I mean, what are the special little things that maybe a local business could do?
Well, in their footer, they should put the cities that they serve. They should put in their title tag their city, maybe their zip code. If they're running their own site or they have a web developer, they can look for a tool called the title tag. And so they should write a nice title for their page, and it should be different on every page, and then they should put a city or two in that title tag and then put it in the footer, and that'll help them a lot. Just that little bit.
Uh-huh. Katherine, too, how do you feel about, because I've heard lately about the SEO, in the meta tag they have a keywords description, and I've heard that they're saying that the search engines don't even use those anymore. Would you still, put some kind of keywords in there?
So I usually do, just because you never know what they're doing, but yes, I've heard that too for years. If I can write a better description without the keyword in it, I will. But generally, just for my own peace of mind, I'll write the keyword in because the description will still be used in the snippet as a description, and if that person has typed the keyword and the keyword will then be bolded in the description, it sort of is it'll encourage them to look at it more and click on it more. So generally I still will, but it's not, you're right, you don't have to put the keyword in the description. So, that's kind of a wonky thing for most of our listeners, I'm sure.
And then let's just say that I'm a business owner. I have a furniture or flooring store, and I call you and I say, Katherine, how can you help me? I have a website, but would you walk us through what you would do for that client, sort of step-by-step picture?
Sure. Usually what I do is, I'll usually just quickly review their site, just glancing at it over the phone. But then afterwards, if they contract with me, then I do a deeper review of the site. I do a creative brief with them. I have a very, very thorough creative brief, and they fill it out. And from there, I learn their story and try to assess what is unique about them, what their unique proposition is. For, say, a flooring store, I usually try to distinguish them from the big box stores. Why should they come to a flooring store, even a furniture store, rather than a big box store? And then the other things that would be part of what I deliver is doing keyword research and then planning and rewriting or development of key pages. Even though I am mainly a content developer, I have lately been assisting with linking strategies, helping them to get links coming into their sites. That's another part of search engine optimization that's very important. Most of my clients don't want to do that. They want the links, but they don't want to go through the work that it takes to get them. But occasionally I have a client who's real good about it, and boy, that really helps with the SEO because I can do my part, but the linking really helps. It really helps boost it a huge amount.
Katherine, what are some of the ways that you get those links? I mean, how would a business owner get another business to link back to them? Do they contact them individually, one by one, or are there other ways to do it?
The best way to do it, I think, for most companies is two things, is to just comment on trade blogs. So if there's a blog in your industry and they have a little blog comment at the end of the article, just leave a comment about it and then leave your web address. Mm-hmm. And another way is if you have suppliers, like if you're a flooring store and you have Shaw and Mohawk and all those, and they have your information on their websites, make sure they have your web address and they're linking from their site to your site. If you're a member of any organizations like the Chamber of Commerce or any other trade, especially trade type directories, get links from there. From there, those are the ones that don't really take too much in terms of brain work. The other good way to do it that's a little harder is to do press releases and, publish in online trade journals or online consumer magazines and get links back to your site that way. But that takes a little more work.
Right.
And I do have a few clients who are willing to do that, but a lot of people just don't want to take the time to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Katherine, it's time to take our second break. Listeners, Today our guest is Katherine Andes of Andes & Associates. She's an online writer and expert in search engine optimization and web content development, and she's here to let you know how you can boost your online success. And we'll be back right after this message.
When you struggle with credit card bills every month, you're not just in debt. Debt is all around you.
I see people every day that are on the brink. They're going to go over the edge, and at the bottom is bankruptcy, and we pull them back.
At the Debt Helpline, we're experts at helping you resolve your debt problems and become free of debt. We can help you pay off your debt and give you one lower monthly payment that you can afford.
You do get to consolidate your payments. You only have to worry about making one payment a month instead of making 3 or 4 or 5.
If you have $5,000, $10,000 or more in credit card bills, call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817.
Each year, millions of people fall for dangerous fad diets and bogus weight loss products. Here's how to separate facts from fad. This is registered dietitian Melissa Joy Dobbins for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics with your Eating Right Minute. Fad diets give lots of promises and few results. Some are even dangerous. Remember these warning signs. A guarantee of rapid weight loss is a red flag. For long-term success, aim to lose about 1 pound per week. Never follow a diet that bans an entire food group or one that allows you to only eat from one group. Finally, there is no proof that eating specific foods at certain times of the day will help with weight loss. To create an eating plan just for you, see a registered dietitian and visit www.eatright.org. Encouraging you to eat right, I'm registered dietitian Melissa Joy Dobbins with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics.
Welcome welcome back. You're listening to the Get Smart Business Radio Show, and today my guest is Katherine Andes of Andes and Associates. So, Katherine, could you give us your web address one more time, please?
Sure, it's andesandassociates.com.
Katherine, I think you wrote an article about optimization and conversion and what the difference was. I think you were talking about listing yourself in a phone book versus taking out an ad in a paper. Can you go over that a little bit and explain the difference between those?
Well, I was basically talking about search engine optimization and conversion. And those are the two things that are the most important goals when you hire a web content developer. For search engine optimization, it's kind of like a phone book placed in someone's house. It allows them to find you. Mm-hmm. And then conversion has to do with whether or not they do what it is you want them to do once they've found you. So that's kind of like if a print ad in a newspaper or a magazine, the print ad sells your product. So from the print ad, they phone you or they go into your store or they fill out a form, whatever it is the print ad's call to action is. So that's just the difference between, say, optimization and conversion.
Mm-hmm. How are you into social media a lot? I mean, how much of an importance do you put on that in your business? And I mean, overall, do you think it should be part of an online marketing strategy?
I do, but you know, I don't think, especially small business owners, shouldn't make themselves crazy over it. It can be pretty overwhelming. I do not do social media for my clients, although I will consult with them a little bit about it, and I have a social media person that I recommend. And it depends on the nature of the business. You know, if you're a large plastic container manufacturer, you probably don't need to do much of anything with social media. If you're a fashion person who sells shoes, you're going to need to be on social media, you know, and especially on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I know in my area there's some very small businesses that do very well just selling on Facebook without a web page. You know, they've got a following, and there's a vintage store here in my town, and all they do is they just post the latest stuff they've got coming in, and they've got people flowing in and out of their business, and that works very well for them. So I think you have to analyze, you know, what the nature, where your customers are spending time. And if you can get yourself there, you know, put yourself there, go ahead and do it. But you don't feel like, you know, you just don't make yourself crazy. Unless, you know, your clients really do, you know, your customers spend a lot of time there, restaurant or fashion or something like that.
So it sounds like you need to do some research first to find out if your customers are even going to these places.
Right.
Whether it be Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it is a nice thing, you know, and I've been experimenting with it more with one of my clients, promoting some pages on Facebook and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's definitely something worth exploring and have fun with it. If you have fun with it, you won't make yourself crazy over it.
Right, because it can take a lot of time. I mean, you can get on there and a couple hours could go by.
Yeah, it can be a huge time drain, yes. Yeah. So you have to be real careful. And, you know, whatever media that you have sort of an affinity for, too, that you think you'll get done, you know, maybe that needs to be a part of what you decide to do, you know. So, I mean, like my, you just need to really think it through.
Now, Katherine, we hear these words, we hear like about landing pages, home pages, sales pages. What are the difference? Like, what would be the difference between the home page and the landing page? Or is there a difference, or is a home page a landing page?
Okay. Well, a home page is like a magazine cover. You know, it's, you know, the page that you like to think that everyone lands on when they first come to your website. But unlike a magazine that comes in your mailbox, when someone lands on your page, they might not land on your home page. They might land on any page that's on the inside of your website. So that's kind of what makes websites different. Now, there are two ways to explain a landing page. It could be just simply any page someone lands on, or sometimes this term is used to refer to a page that is clicked to from a pay-per-click ad. So where somebody has taken an ad out on Google or somewhere else, and then they click on the ad and it lands on what is called a sales landing page. So that's a special kind of page too. Mm-hmm. And then there's the sales page, which is kind of obvious. It's a page that's geared strongly towards selling. And then there are what we call information pages. They're not geared towards selling. They're geared toward, except maybe indirectly, and they're geared toward giving out information.
When someone lands on a home page, would you say, because sometimes you'll land on a home page and they'll send you, it's almost like they have 20 different offers. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it's like they say, try this demo or sign up for this, or like they're pulling you in many directions. Would you advise against that? Like, should business owners narrow it down to only a couple choices on a home page, or even one choice?
Well, most of the time I would say yes, but, there can always be exceptions. So it really does depend on your business and what is working for you. Mm-hmm. But normally, let's say if I have a client who has, say, residential customers, and then they have commercial customers, and then maybe they have institutional customers. So I might recommend they have 3 buttons that will send those people off to the sections that are interesting to them. If you can do that, that's nice. That's a nice thing to do. But every home page just really has to be thought out. It just has to be thought out to what will best serve your customers.
And then what about updating a website regularly? I keep hearing this, fresh content, have to have fresh content, keep it updated regularly. What do you advise your clients when it comes to that?
Well, this is one of the biggest myths around, that you have to constantly update all your pages, or that seems to be how it's translated. Yes, I do recommend that people have fresh content on their site in terms of new pages, because that every page you add to your website widens your fishing net so you can catch more fish. Each page is like a piece of bait. However, I have pages I've written for clients 7 years ago that still work, and barely a comma has been changed on that page. If the page is working and selling and it's not dated as far as the product, you don't need to change it. Okay. So, in fact, I think that's one of the benefits of having a good, developing a good page, because it works for you for years and years and years, and you don't have to keep paying for it. Right. But yes, you do need to have, obviously now if a page gets dated or whatever, yes, of course you should update it.
Okay. All right. Well, Katherine,
not updating for the sake of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Katherine, it's time to take our last break, listeners. Today my guest is Katherine Andes of Andes & Associates. She is an online writer and expert in search engine optimization and web content development, and we'll be back momentarily.
Thousands of years, people from the Brazilian rainforest have used the acai berry for its amazing health benefits. Now we've learned it's also an amazing weight loss supplement. If you're looking to lose 10, 20, maybe even 50 pounds or more, then the Ultimate Acai Diet may be your solution. The Ultimate Acai Diet is loaded with pure organic acai extract powder and other great herbs like hoodia and green tea. You'll burn fat, control your appetite, and get an energy surge like you've never felt before. If you want to lose 10, 20, maybe even 50 pounds, order the Ultimate Acai Diet right now. We'll even give you a free bottle when you order 2, plus give you free shipping. Call 800-430-4147, 800-430-4147, 800-430-4147. If you're struggling to pay or haven't been making your student loan payments, listen carefully to this urgent alert. Have you been out of school for 10 or more years and you're still making your student loan payments? Are your student loans past due or even in default? Can't go back to school because of an old student loan problem? Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month, based on what you can afford to pay. One quick 10-minute call could help you solve your student loan problems. So call right now. Not available in all states. Payments may vary based on income. 855-351-FAST. 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 855-351-3278.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Get Smart Business Radio Show. Today, my guest is Katherine Andes of Andes & Associates. And again, she's an online writer and expert in search engine optimization and web content development. Katherine, you had mentioned briefly pay-per-click ads in the last segment, how they go to certain pages. If a client asks you whether or not he should invest in pay-per-click ads, would you advise him to do that? I mean, do you really think they're necessary?
I think they can be very beneficial, especially if you're a site with heavy competition, and the search engine optimization may take a while to show you results. The pay-per-click ads can be very beneficial if you can afford them. And also, too, I don't think it hurts to have your even if your search engine optimization is working well, it doesn't hurt to have your name pop up more times on a web page. I think it only sort of solidifies you as a player. So I don't know that I have any statistics on that, but that's what my thinking is anyway.
What about other types of online promotion, like say an email promotion? Do you work on any efforts like that for your clients?
I have done some. I haven't done a lot. You mean like a autoresponder series or something like that?
Yeah, or if they're going to have a sale and they want to send out a coupon or something like that.
Yes. Well, I have done that. I haven't done a lot of it. So, but basically that's like anything else. You need to do a nice job on it and try and communicate with your client on a human level and be friendly and try and communicate what's unique about what you're offering, all that. So,
what are some of the success stories that maybe you've had that you could tell the listeners about, maybe some people that came to you and said, hey, couldn't you help me with this? And they had an overwhelming response. Do you have any kind of success stories you could share?
Well, I have a lot of interesting stories. My longest term client is a flooring client in my town. And I'm in a small town in California, in the middle of California, about 200 miles from LA and San Francisco. And my flooring client, because of the optimization that I've done, I've optimized him for most of the cities in California. He gets commercial jobs all over the state.
Wow.
And as he told me recently, he said, Kathy, we're eating off the work that you've done for us. He had a job recently. It was $100,000 job that in Los Angeles from a company in New York that found him. And this was a $100,000 installation job. They didn't sell a lick of flooring. All they did was install, and made $100,000 on it. So, and they asked him, how they found him, and they said, well, you have the best website we've seen of any flooring client. So, that was kind of cool.
Great.
Another site I did that I was kind of proud of was for some young interior designers in Pasadena. And I did this last year, and they were brand new designers, fresh out of, design school. And, down south in the LA area, there are a lot of very, very established designers. And I optimized several of their pages for historic home renovation. And within a week or two of the page going live, they got a job doing a very large job for historic home renovation. And then they got another one. And now they're being written up in magazines in Southern California and getting all these prestigious jobs. So, I know that they worked really hard on their own apart from, what I did for them. But,
right.
I know that I did my little part too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Katherine, what do you think in general about headlines? I heard somebody put this the other day, and I thought it was a good way they put it. They said the headline is the ad for the ad. So how important do you think headlines are? I mean, even on a web page, sometimes I think people don't think about headlines being on a web page, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the headlines are really important, and I like the way that was phrased. It's the ad for the ad. What I'm kind of bummed about right now, and I'm not sure what the answer is that I can no longer design a headline the way I want to on a web page because of mobile devices. Because, you might want to put a headline, like say have 2 lines on the headline and have it end at a certain point and then begin the second line at a certain point.
Right.
But if you do that on your web page, it's going to go wonky on the mobile device and leave large spaces. So it's like now the words have to all be run together. And so I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you're worried about getting keywords in the headline too.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of bummed because some of the headlines that I felt were beautiful and read really nicely, I don't know. I'm still digesting, how to handle this. Because, sometimes when I arranged them nicely on the web page and then the mobile device just made them go wonky, so I don't break them up the way I want to.
Yeah.
So, they're important, but...
Right, and I can imagine long headlines. I love long headlines. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I like to get a lot of stuff in there, and that probably would cause a problem as well.
Well, actually, a long headline might work better, because, when you're trying to have a pithy little one and you put the breaks in the right places and short little words and phrases, those are the ones that go wonky on the mobile device. A long one might be just fine. Just run it all together,
Interesting.
So that's a good idea. I may take that.
So if you could give the single most important piece of advice to the business owners and listeners out there, what would you say that the single most thing that they should be aware of to address their web pages if they're looking for online success? What would you say that is?
To just be really, really aware of your customer and think, why is this person coming to my website? Mm-hmm. What do they want? What do they need? And am I building a relationship with a customer? Am I giving them something to hang their hat on so they can relate to me? Did I tell them some story, about, how I came into business or something? Mm-hmm. You've got to give them something that they can relate to that is different, so that they will say, hey, I want to go into those guys sound upright. They sound like I'm going to get a square deal there. I want to go do business with them. Right. That's what you want your website to do for you. It can't do everything that you can as a human being, but it can start the conversation between you. As you want as much as possible for the website to make your customer primed to buy. And, and that takes some thinking and some hard work. It's not easy to do.
And the SEO takes some time. I mean, after it's done, it still takes time to start gaining traction, correct?
Yeah, there are some tools, though. It was really interesting. There's some Google Webmaster tools where now you can submit a link right away, and I just did this for a local client a couple of days ago, and he wasn't anywhere for this particular, it was a service that he offered, but we had never written about it on his website. So I wrote the page, and he was nowhere to be found in the first 100 listings, and he was on, within minutes of submitting it, he was number 15, which put him on page 2.
That's nice.
So I was real happy about that. And he may climb higher, you know, because I noticed that it usually takes 3 to 6 months to know where that page is going to kind of land for a good long time until competitors do something else.
Yeah.
So.
And Katherine, has it been your experience that when you go to a business owner's page, say somebody new coming to you, do you find that a lot of time that on the homepage they talk a lot about them and their business rather than focusing on the problem or the needs of the customer?
Right. They always talk in the first person, I and we. We do this, we do that, instead of you. Yeah, all copy. Virtually, not all copy, but most of your copy should be as much as possible you-oriented. And, yeah, that is real important. Very, very important.
Well, we're almost done, Katherine. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave for the business owners and managers out there that are interested in having online success?
Well, I guess it's just really, really pay attention to your content. And, you know, what we're talking about today is expensive. It's not cheap. And you can get a really nice website developed for a few $1,000s. But, you know, to hire a good writer who knows what they're doing, it's just not cheap. So, you know, you need to set aside some money to do it, set aside a budget. It doesn't all have to be done at once. So if you only have a few $1,000s to start with, you can start fixing a few key pages with that. And then when you have a little bit more money, then you can add to it. So you don't have to do, the whole banana at one time. But, you know, try to just try to plan that this is an important part of your business. All this material can be used in other items. If you want to use some of the material in print material as well, you can do that. Although mostly these days print material is a waste of time. But, you know, you can recycle things into case studies and emails and, you know, pages, and you can recycle a lot of this material that you pay for. So over time, the cost really, it's really not that much. But at first it is.
That's a good tip, though, to break it down piecemeal if you don't have all the money up front, because once it's up there, and you can just add to it.
Right. Get your home page done, or a key key sales page done for your main keywords. And, yeah, you can do that. And, I mean, it works. I mean, I know I built my own site, started 8 years ago with about 10 pages, and now I'm over 300 pages. And, you know, it's just been a little by little.
Right. Well, listen, Katherine, it was such a great experience having you on the show today, giving these great tips, and I really thank you for your time today.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you so much, Angeline. Great questions.
All right, listeners, thanks. That's all the time we have today. Thanks so much for joining us and giving us time out of your day on the Get Smart Business Radio Show. And don't forget, if you're looking for more resources and information on how to do business better online, visit our website at www.getsmartbusinessradio.com. And until next time, have a great day.